just ugly cried, and I'm gonna talk about it. I just literally just ugly cried so bad. And then it popped in my mind, like, I have to talk about this. That's my outlet. That's how I get this stuff off of me. Because I, again, can't believe this is what I'm living. And it's crazy and amazing at the same time. So, collect myself to tell you what the heck just happened. Well, a weekish ago, I visited my grandmother, who is my dad's mom. She's turning 90 soon, and I honestly just realized, I was like, I don't know the woman very well. I know of her. I've been around her a little bit throughout my life, but I really thought to myself, you know what, Leah, just go see her. Take the opportunity. Ask the questions. So I did. And it honestly was the best visit. And I was so thankful. But I learned a few things because she and I are the only two that are communicating with my dad, to my knowledge. He calls her and I'm communicating via letters. And I just really wanted to get her thoughts on whether or not he's a different person, or if she thinks that. And because in the letters that I'm reading, I feel like he is a different person than we all once knew. There were some things in our conversation that there were some questions. Like, well, I'm not really sure. Here's why. The following Monday, after visiting her, I decided that I was going to investigate. Because what better way to just ask the dang questions and investigate, right? So, two things that I did. One, I asked the pastor at our church if he knew anybody that knows of organizations that help prisoners when they get out of prison. Because that was question number one, possibility of him getting out, but understanding that no family wants him around. That's just the reality. And I say the reality because they don't know what I know of him potentially being different, and because no one's communicating against myself and my grandmother. So I did learn that there are organizations, a couple of them, and I looked them up and see that there's like an application. I'm like, okay, well, at least that's something. And then the man that I talked to on Monday, he recommended that I just called the prison and asked, like, when's his next parole, or his parole date or whatever. So I did. I actually sent an email. You can do that. I didn't, all these things I'm learning. And so I did, and I learned that his first potential parole hearing is actually a year from now. And so that was like, okay, an alleviation moment, because there kind of were some rumors that it was like soon, which is not the case. There's at least a full year. So anyway, but in the email I did ask again, like, you know, there was some information shared via the phone call with my grandmother that I just was like, is this truthful? Is there some truth to that? And so today I just had a call, and honestly I didn't answer it at first because it pops up like the state of the Missouri or something, and I thought it was some political call. So, you know, I don't answer numbers I don't know. I'm not alone. And it was the medical unit at the prison. So I called back and spoke to a wonderful lady named Caroline, and she was extremely helpful. So she answered questions. Apparently I'm now on the approved list. He had to give permission for them to share medical things with me, so I'm approved for the next year. Anyway, in conversation I learned that perhaps some things that he shared was inaccurate versus what's actually going on. But I was told that he is in a, oh gosh, what did she say? A senior care unit, basically. And she kind of hinted at the possibility of dementia or hard of hearing, having a hard time. I mean, he's 70 now, so makes sense, you know. So, but I told her, like, you know, in his letters that he's been writing, like, I've been super impressed with the accuracy and the recollection of events throughout his life. And she informed me that that's often something that happens, is that when we age, that we cognitively are sharper, but yet we can't necessarily recall more current events or recite them. So that was very interesting information. Makes a lot of sense now. So basically, one thing she mentioned is possibly he misinterpreted something that was said to him and then kind of relate it back to my grandmother. But anyway, there's still some questions there. So then I asked, about like, if something were to happen to him, like, would I be notified? And she was like, well, you're not on the emergency call list. And so she recommended, like, you could get added to it. And I'm thinking, okay, well, who is on it? And so she tells me, and I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I think I'll go ahead and get on the emergency call list, because that was the best option, I thought. So anyway, so I had to call the person again and ask for the caseworker. And as I'm like going through these things, I'm thinking, Jesus, what is going on here? Again, you're guiding me, because I don't know what I'm doing. And so long story short, now I'm on the emergency call list. I mean, he has to approve it, but I assume that since he just gave permission for me to know medical things about him, then that he'll sign off on that too. But she did, I kind of expressed the concern that I know some family has, that they're concerned that he's still using drugs, because drugs can get into the prison. And she just she paused for a second, and she just was like, I really would recommend you coming and, seeing for yourself, or, talking to him about that. And like the way she kind of said it, I think that's a little bit reassuring to my own thoughts. I don't think he's using drugs. I don't see it in the letters, and that's great. So that's awesome. I asked about programs, like if he's in different programs, and she just kind of explained like how her role is, and she said that he knows where her office is, and that he'll come and visit from time to time. But yeah, I don't know, it was very weird, surreal 2 phone calls that I've had today. And so yeah, I just wanted to share about it, because this isn't stuff people talk about, and I really think that they should. So if you're dealing with this or going through something like this, just know you're not alone. You don't have to shove it down and keep it to yourself. So there's a weight that lifts whenever you talk about it. Alright.
What if everything you're going through is preparing you for everything you ask for? What if the struggle is leading you to a beautiful chapter in life? The best is yet to come,